Hey everyone, it is late at night and I'm Norman. I have some more news and reviews to go over with you tonight, so let us begin. The first article I have comes from a blog to watch, and this is a review of yet another Joker watch. This particular watch is the Barons X Constantan Chaikin Joker. Chaikin? That is an interesting name. So this watch is quite a bit like the other Joker's watches that are out there, and at a hefty price like they are as well. If you've never seen a Joker watch before, the idea is there are two subdials that kind of form the eyes, and they look all crazy because the indices move around and the indices make up the pupils in the eyes. It's very cartoony, very strange, kind of fun and whatnot until you get to the price tag. This particular watch is about $9,000, and I think some of the other Joker's watches that are out there are even more expensive than that. That seems like an awful lot of money for a gimmicky watch. So weird. What do I think of this watch? I have to say that this is probably the scariest Joker watch that I've seen yet. The subdials that make up the eyes, one eye has the Barons logo in the middle of it, the other one has a stylized clock face. That, combined with the paint that's done on the crystal above the dial, for the mouth and other parts of the face, just make it look terrifying. The teeth that are in the mouth are creepy, and the eyes are just absolutely unsettling. So, because it's so terrifying looking, I think that this might be my favorite Joker watch that I've seen yet. The next article I have comes from Hodinkee.com. And this article is a review of a Richard Mille Devil Horn watch. So yes, this watch is for rock stars, because it has the devil horns on the dial. Yeah. Richard Mille is just crazy. So what do I think of this watch? Well, it looks like a Richard Mille. It's way over the top. It's super gimmicky with the skeletal rock hand on the dial. But I think the craziest thing about this watch, it costs $1 million. $1 million. Million. What? I do have to say that the crown looks pretty cool though, but I've definitely seen better looking Richard Mille watches than this one, and I don't think those were quite $1 million. I seriously I don't get it. I don't understand Richard Mille. I don't understand paying $1 million for this watch. That is so crazy. I have no words other than that. Yeah. Next story. The next article I have comes from Worn and Wound, and it is a review of a Fears watch. This watch has an amazing red colored dial, and what's interesting is the actual dial is kind of inset a little bit, so there's some red space around a circle there that houses the indices and the minutes hand, and then at the 12 o'clock position is a jumping hour complication set into a rounded window. These watches have a cushion-shaped case, and it's actually a collaboration between Fears and Christopher Ward. What do I think of these watches? I think they're absolutely brilliant looking. I love that case shape, and that red coloring is so great. The overall aesthetic of the dial is really beautiful, and I was so taken aback by the look of these watches, I kind of skipped right over the part where it was a joint effort with Christopher Ward, until I got my latest Loop magazine. And I saw this watch featured in there and recognized it and realized, wait a minute, that watch is in my next video I'm going to do. So I kind of skimmed over that a bit and found out that Fears used a Sellita SW200 and they partnered with Christopher Ward to use Christopher Ward's jumping hour module with that movement. And this watch is just brilliant. It looks so great. That red color is so amazing. At least in all the pictures I've seen of it, it just looks phenomenal. The sad thing is, it is a limited edition. Another limited edition. That's right, they are only making 50 of these watches, so we will never ever see one. Furthermore, not just anyone can buy them. If you've never heard of it before, I hadn't, there is a thing called the Alliance of British Watch and Clockmakers, and only Alliance members can purchase these watches. So they are brilliant watches that none of us will ever see. The next article I have comes from a blog to watch, and this is a review of a Zenith Defy watch. These watches have a red dial, really crazy looking indices on them, a faceted case. I think it would be faceted. Yeah. It has a bunch of flat faces all over it, kind of like a big metal jewel. It looks like it has pretty narrow lugs on it. It has a 37mm case size, and it retails for about $7,000. What do I think of these watches? Again, I love red dialed watches, so that immediately caught my attention. And I love those hour markers. They're super unique. The lines cut into them almost give them like a Japanese character appearance when you just glance at it. Like at first it kind of reminded me of a Korono Tokyo dial, just when you glance at it for an instant. But yeah, I actually really love those markers. The date window, not so much. That particular date window is the epitome of it looking like an afterthought. Like someone designed this brilliant dial, and then someone else came in and said, "Oh, you forgot the date window." That's fine, we'll just cut a square in this beautiful looking dial and stick a white wheel date window in there. The hands look brilliant. I do love the seconds hand in this. I appreciate the fact that it's 37mm. However, it's a strange looking case. It looks like it's very narrow and extremely long, and the bracelet is so small compared to the case, it really looks kind of out of proportion. Kind of sad because the dial is so brilliant. I just feel like the rest of the watch doesn't quite live up to that dial. Minus the date window that was gouged out of it. But it would be cool to see those hour indices on maybe a different watch. The next article I have comes from usawatchpro.com, and this is a review of a Laurent Ferrier watch with a salmon dial on it. It has a cushion-shaped bezel over it, a subdial for the seconds hand, very unique indices on it, and an absolutely insane price tag. I mean, if I'm converting 175,000 CHF correctly, that's almost 200,000 US dollars for this watch. So what do I think of this watch? The salmon color on it looks great. I feel like that bezel is very fitting to the design. I don't know if I would normally choose such a bezel, but it looks great on this watch. The dial and the hands are absolutely brilliant. And look at those hour indices. Those are so cool. I love their unique shape, how they're almost like dot indices, and then they changed their mind and became triangle indices. So cool. The hands on this watch look really elegant. Even the hour and minutes hands, they're kind of like a sporty, everyday wear kind of shape, but they look really elegant on this watch still. That's pretty cool. The onion crown on the watch looks absolutely amazing. Just a really, really great looking piece. Wow. Yeah, another crazy price. $200,000. Okay, wait a minute here. This is a Grand Sport Tourbillon. There's your crazy price tag. This thing has a tourbillon that you can't see and really isn't super important in a watch versus a pocket watch. Alright, makes perfect sense. But you can see it from the case back. Alright. The next article I have comes from iwmagazine.com, and this is an article on Bell & Ross's Avant Garde watches. So if you've never seen the original Avant Garde watch, it has hands just like these that are just crazy and artsy and fun and sort of nonsensical, but in a more traditional watch case. These, however, are housed in the Bell & Ross iconic cases that look like instrument panels taken out of submarines or aircraft. What do I think of these watches? I really love the fun attitude of avant-garde watches. I love these crazy hands. especially the circular hands. For some reason, I really like circular hands. The colors are fun also, super bright, kind of cartoony and whatnot. I just feel like these don't work so well with those cases. I feel like Bell & Ross cases are just a bit too utilitarian, a bit too straight-laced, and I don't think the fun of the hands and whatnot really meshes well with them. And the piece with the subdials was a great idea, but I feel like it's a little bit busy. It just looks a bit messy with those funky hands and colors. The other two are definitely better with the cleaner dials, there's less noise to them, but I just feel like those cases don't really work with the idea so well. Other than that, I really like them because I do love me some Avant Garde watches. So there you have it, a whole list of watches that were reviewed by various sites and what I think of them. Thanks for watching.